Hey everyone, it's Keri TV, and today we are talking about something pretty simple but very important. So stay tuned. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the intricacies of the deals and difficult situations and how every deal is different, complicated situations, etc. But wait a second, back it up. How do you even buy a house? How do you write an offer? I mean, this is something we talk about every day, every week. We're always explaining this to our clients. So here is a step-by-step on how you actually write an offer and how you technically buy a house. So here we go. First of all is the documentation. What's the one thing you need when we're writing an offer? Money. Cha-ching! Money, 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 honey! Now, this can come in all sorts of documents. You can have your checking, your savings, your retirement, your stocks, a gift, any and all of the above to show that you have the financial means to put your down payment and your closing costs. Now, nothing is transferred up front. You're not giving a check. You're not wiring anything when you send an offer. You're only showing that you have something to wire. Second is your lender approval letter. So your lender will provide you documentation showing that you've been approved, you've been through the application process, and that you have the financial ability to buy a house. Now, keep in mind you'll have your contingencies in escrow because you haven't been put through the full ringer of the loan process. You still need to go through underwriting unless you've been fast-tracked, and you still need to have an actual purchase agreement for the lender to fully approve you. Signed purchase agreement. Now the third thing is the offer, and that is where we come into play. So the offer is the California Association of Realtors standard CAR RPA, residential purchase agreement. We have a lot of slang and lingo in real estate that can be pretty confusing to the outside world. We have pretty much our own language. Okay, so you've got those three things, and then of course if you're trying to show the sellers who you are, a lovely little love letter, we love those, a little about me section, but the nitty gritty of what you need for the offer, those three items. Now, what's involved with this offer? What does this mean? What's the seller paying for? What am I protected against? Who does inspections? How does this all work? Well, let me tell you, this is all outlined in this offer. So first, it goes through what the property, the parcel number, your purchase price. Now, anything on this offer can be changed with a counteroffer. So the entire purchase agreement builds off of the entire executed contract or deal builds off the purchase agreement. 90% of the time there's a counter involved. Every once in a while you can get the actual offer signed off. It's a beautifully written offer, which we've talked about before. So the offer's written. Anything that's written on the counter only changes that item that it references. It changes nothing else in the contract. A lot of times when you have a few counters and you go to sign it all, the seller is like, well, why am I signing this? I didn't agree to this price, or vice versa, depending on which way it was going. But it's not about that, what's on the contract. It's checked off on one of the last pages subject to the next counter, which can then be checked off subject to the next counter. So you have to get both parties to sign an agreement on the one counter to be the final word. So everything is built off the previous counters and the purchase agreement. So what's next? So it goes through your down payment and then your time frames on contingencies, which is most important. Now the first two are going to be your loan and appraisal. Standard for appraisal is 17 days. Sometimes people lower this, but that's a separate video. Standard for loan is 21 days. And then your physical inspection, 14B, again, real estate lingo, is one of the most important because that's you getting in, looking at everything, looking at the cost, getting contractors in, checking out the area and going, do I really want to buy this house? Most cases, yeah, you do. But it's also to find out what needs to be done at the house and what you're willing to do. Just because there's work to be done doesn't mean the seller's gonna pay for it, or doesn't mean you wanna take it on, or maybe you do. It's all a personal preference. Again, like I said, every transaction is super different. So the 14B not only includes your physical inspection report, but also includes all the review of all the documents. So you've got seller disclosures, escrow documents, title, preliminary title report, NHD, natural hazards disclosures. You have information from the area, neighborhood, escrow documents, there's so many documents, it's out of control, but they're all designed to keep both parties safe. So sit back, have a glass of wine, sit back, drink some tea, and go through all these documents and make sure that you understand them. Have a list of questions, because at the end of the day, no one can tell you how you feel about what you're reading. You can ask for advice, of course, but your preferences and where you want to live and the area you want to live and what you're comfortable with is completely up to you. So this is some time for you to go through, reflect, read, think about the house. Now, what else happens in this offer? Okay, so you've got what's included. So you've got this whole house, you're thinking, well, what do I get? Basically, anything that you can pick up and take away, you do not get. So anything attached to the property, so walls, doorknobs, windows, usually built-in microwaves, toilets, kitchen sinks. If it's not attached, it goes with the owners. So basically, when you're going through the house, if you want something extra like a barbecue or some furniture, if you like certain pieces that they have, you can write that in. And then what's really important about what's included is your leased items, leased, liens, anything like that. So when solar panels came in, they became such an issue with transactions because buyers didn't realize what they were buying into when it came to the lifetime of the solar panel or how expensive they were. And a lot of times these sellers are under contracts, or these owners are under contracts where they can't get out of it. So it can be anywhere from 20, 30, 40,000 left on their payment, which can make a deal fall apart. So in that paragraph, it asks for disclosures on solar panels, it could be sound systems, any of the above. So they need to let the buyer know right away what those are and what those payments are. It could even be HOA fees. Sometimes they have, not in a condo, but in a community, they'll have an HOA fee. Now, another thing that's included in this is all the inspections and reports that the seller is required to give you. So it will go through the government requirements, escrow requirements, and all the seller disclosures. Now, these all have to be given to you in a certain amount of time per the contract, which is standard 7 days. Sometimes people lower that. So keep in mind, this contract goes through all the time frames that are important as you go through escrow. I mean, come on, what else does this contract not do? It's freaking 10 pages. It also goes through the service providers. There's a lot of ancillary services that we use throughout this process, like escrow, title, NHD, home warranty, and who pays for it. The seller has to pay the transfer taxes at the city level, county level, which is pretty expensive. Most often, the buyer does not pay that. So that is pretty much the process in a nutshell. I'm trying to go through the questions I get every time we write an offer, but you're protected with your contingencies. No money's transferred. Everything that is who pays for what and what the costs are outlined in the purchase agreement. You have some time to think about it, and then you can figure out if you're buying the home or not, and you're protected. The only time you would lose your deposit is if you say you're buying the property, release all the contingencies, and then for some reason you decide not to buy it. Then it's a whole different situation with arbitration mediation. But that is the offer process, how to write an offer. We also have a list of everything I just talked about that we can send over to you, so you're fully informed and you're ready and you know what to do when you find that amazing house that you love or that investment property. You're prepared, you know what's going on throughout the transaction, and then the whole escrow process, hey, maybe that's another video. So thanks for watching, guys, today, and if you like all these videos, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care.